When a single family home comes on the market, everybody's killing themselves to get it. When a commercial asset comes on the market, there's usually just a couple of people that are targeting that sort of an asset. And there are more deals today than there ever been in the last decade. And that's now when it's only getting started. There have been people in this program for the last 5 or 6 years that came in and all I did was kill their deal. And they felt terrible about it. Like they've been in the program for 2 or 3 years. I'm like, yeah, it's still not time. It's not time. It's not time. They're like, Scott, you're teaching us commercial real estate. You're asking us to go. I'm like, yeah, but non-motivated sellers who are asking way too much for their assets. They're completely overpriced. As soon as the cap rates expand and interest rates go up, everybody who bought those assets is going to get crushed on the wheel. Here we are. And that's across the board in so many categories. And I don't take joy in the difficulties, but it is comforting to be validated and to know that we could see what was coming. It's not because I'm clairvoyant. It's not because I'm some, unbelievable mystic. It's because I've seen it. Now, you guys, many of you don't know this about me yet, but I have 6 young children, and the ages 8 and under. And when I tell them that in a couple of months, those leaves are gonna turn colors and they're gonna fall off of those trees, and I know we're swimming in the pool right now and it's 85, 90 degrees and sunny, but 6 months from now, the skies are gonna get gray and the snow is gonna fall. It's not because I'm a genius. It's because I've seen the cycle of the seasons. And I want you to know you're in a season right now. An overheated market, loose lending policy, superheated investors, people overpaying for properties, people competing and bidding against themselves for properties. Historically, banks are terrible at turning off the music. And they were terrible this time too. The good news right now is that they're still lending, but not like they were. I had a conversation this morning with a gentleman who was incredibly high up at Wells Fargo. Is the operative word. Last week they let him go because they're not making the loans really. One of the largest institutions in America has stopped making loans because they're getting ready to buy banks, not buildings. The big boys scoop up the little boys to prop up their bad balance sheet, and then they take all that bad debt and then they come back to the consumer, they get a taxpayer bailout, they write down all of the bad debts because they're the only ones big enough to sort it all out. When they remarket them, if they've held them for longer than 18 months, not only do they get the loss to offset the gains, but they have zero basis in the asset, so it's pure profit. And then the CEOs get all of their windfall bonuses. Look it up the last 50 years. They run the same play every decade. Well, I've run that back to the 1880s, and I can run it all back for you again, but I won't today. Bigger profits. It seems like it has been almost a year since I started using your system. Looking back, I can't believe how different my business has become. When I started out in this business, I was basically in a buy a junker, flip a junker mindset. Don't get me wrong, I did pretty good flipping 40 to 50 houses a year. Someone who's flipping 40 to 50 houses a year, do they know what they're doing, yes or no? For sure. After learning your system, everything has changed, and I switched my thinking to bigger numbers and bigger deals. As a result, I bought a 9-unit property. Is that a big deal? Is a 9-unit property a big deal? No. Everybody in this room can handle that in a moment. I bought it for $300,000 and sold it for $625,000 within 6 months and made over $300,000 in just 6 months. Now that's not going to change your life. Validate what you're doing. It's the quick win I need you to have. And I will tell you this, I can say this pretty doggone confidently. Everybody except for 1% of that room will have replaced their income with $325,000. I also converted a 9-unit apartment building to condominiums with a profit of over $1 million. Oh, thanks to your system, not only did I do the above with little, if any, of my own money, I expect to be bigger deals this year. I have a team that works for me doing the little deals now, and I won't go see a project and consider it worth my time if there's not 300 to 400,000 profit within 6 months on the backside. I simply can't afford to. You'd like to be in a business where you couldn't afford to be in it, and you couldn't afford to go look at something if you couldn't make $300,000 or $400,000 in 6 months. And that's as small of a deal as I'll let you do. That's why I'm sharing this testimonial over the thousands of other ones I have, because this is so achievable. I simply can't afford to. I won't go see it or consider it worth my personal time if there's not 300 to 400,000 profit within 6 months on the backside. I simply can't afford to. The breakthrough concepts on evaluating and funding deals are worth the price of the system alone. Steve Lazarus, Washington, D.C.